So, Mark, did you see the picture that ruined all of the magic on Fremont Street? My beloved ape. We saw him without his head off. Of course, there's multiple apes, yes, but here's what he looks like.
What threw you off more, seeing this or seeing Minnie take off her head and it be a guy smoking a cigarette?
I don't know. My world is rocked. I don't know. So welcome back, Mark. Thanks again, Mark Jackson, for subbing on the last show. People missed you.
Well, some people, probably not most.
Well, let's get right into the show. Talk about Wynn and their new B bar. This area has been under reconstruction, I don't know, behind walls for a little bit. They finally opened it up. It's dark. It's sexy. I like it.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I know the one TikTok video that was in the rundown, the guy says he doesn't like it so much because there's walls now. It feels a little boxed in. I could see that, where you just don't feel as comfortable because, it just feels less spacious, but maybe that's what they were going for. I mean, all the finishes and everything look great, but if you do feel a little bit squeezed in there, that'd be tough.
Yeah, and this bar does get very busy. A shout out to Tony Harrison for sending over these pictures. And yeah, go check it out. I'm glad to see the walls down. They were kind of impeding on that walkway there. So it's good to see this coming online. So what would a show be without Primm for Trim, Mark? You're back, and we got to talk about Primm for a second. I came across this video from Casino Update interviewing Steve Neely, who's the GM out there. And this is just sort of a follow-up to what they've been doing. He talks about consolidating their operations. They spent $3.5 million on new games. He says it's the most amount of new games ever on the floor. So I don't know what that means for what they've been investing the last few years, but talking about consolidating operations and then how Primm Valley, they want to make it into a boutique hotel, new restaurant, new carpet, all that stuff. I don't know. Is this going to work?
I mean, it's interesting to see this after they've closed down the casinos and everything, and they left several closed for a long time after COVID and just hasn't really been busy there. So I'm surprised to see them investing $3.5 million on games, and now, they want to put in new carpet and everything. I don't know, but they have 40 shows in the lineup, which is, what we would ask for the Sphere to do is like, hey, give us some shows. So maybe they figured out that they can make money on the weekends if they have a good live event, a 6,000 seat arena. So they can bring a lot of people in for that stuff. And if that's been working, maybe they can see their way out of all of this.
Would Primm be completely screwed without the arena? I think is the big question there. That is really what's driving people. Mentions, people are willing to drive from Vegas to go see the shows, but he also talks about their seafood buffet, their Sunday champagne brunch. So this whole buffet thing is part of the strategy. Drive in, get your seafood buffet, drive out, get your champagne buffet. I don't know. It's an interesting interview, 8 minutes. I'll put a link in the description. You guys can see what they're doing out there in Primm.
Yeah, I hope it's successful. And I think if they could add something for people to stop on their way in and out of town, I think that would be good. If the restaurant is really well reviewed or beloved, I think people will go out of their way to stop, either on their way back to California, coming to California, or if they're just going out to buy some lottery tickets, something like that. Like, give people a reason to pull off.
The way he described the buffet in this video, both made me not believe him. I don't know. It just didn't. He's sounding all this delicious food, the way it's prepared. I'm not quite sure it's as good, but yeah, go check it out. Want Primm to survive, and good times ahead, hopefully. We have another story of BetMGM canceling parlay bet, and we've seen this with not just BetMGM, but other casinos. This time it happened in Illinois, and I think it was almost a $400,000 parlay that they canceled, saying the odds were, not right, and they used those terms and conditions. I guess he had 4 parlays that won, and one of them was actually manually checked, still approved. When are we gonna pass rules that say they can't do this anymore?
Yeah, that's what's crazy is that at least he says that it was manually checked, so you think that would give him at least on that one. And I mean, if you're betting $2,000, I think it was a 6-leg parlay. It sounds like the other one where the guy saw the odds were really good, so came back and made a couple more bets on it. Maybe if you only do one, it gets through, or they don't pay as much attention. I don't know. But you would think they'd have algorithms and stuff when it's a big payout to have a manual review of things. I mean, this was all on rebounds, assists, that type of stuff. So it couldn't have been super long odds. So I think even he probably knew this is a bit out of the ordinary. I think if you hit for 2,000, normally it'd pay around 80 or 90, but he should still get paid. They can figure out, I don't know why they can't figure out what it should have been paid and then say, hey, this is what it is. At least they should have to do that if they are canceling bets.
Now, I will say this article from CBS News was a little over the top, talking about him sitting there making bets on his couch for his daughter's college tuition and all of that. And I don't think it painted the prettiest picture of all that, trying to make BetMGM look bad. But I agree, like maybe we have to come to a realization that they should just pay out what the odds should have been. A lot of people like to say we never hear about this. Do they cancel the bets when they're losers? When BetMGM would have to give back money that they would have lost. So it always seems one-sided, but we don't really know.
Yeah, and we see this in the airline industry too. If a sale for a ticket is way below what the market value would be, and it was an obvious error, sometimes they'll just take care of it or say it's good, as publicity. But a lot of times they cancel those tickets, and that's kind of in there. I somewhat understand that aspect of it, but also if you made a bet and you made the picks, I mean, there should be a catalog of somewhere you can go to a different book and say, hey, what'd you guys have these odds at? Something. And with AI and everything, they should be able to double check everything. It just seems like it shouldn't be an issue at all anymore.
So Corey over at casino.org wrote the story. I know everybody's been dying to know. One of the most famous signs in Las Vegas, the Little Darling sign, always those comedic things that are related to things in the news. Great marketing for a business like that. And he found out who's behind those digital marketing messages and interviewed them for the first time ever. So you can kind of dive in and find out the mind. It's just a guy who's been doing it for 20 years. But yeah, I mean, he comes up with some great ideas.
That's the crazy thing, like 20 years of doing this. And every time we drive by, it's something funny. Who do you think does a better job, the Sphere people or Little Darlings guy?
Yeah, I mean, Little Darlings guy, you got to give it to him. OG, I see his stuff all over social media, not just in the Vegas space. It does occasionally go wider, so I'd have to give it to him.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing that they're able to track him down, and that it sounded like he didn't really want to give an interview, but was like, okay, let's do this.
The big question is, what would be more fun, to be the Little Darlings guy or the Sphere programmer?
I mean, I guess it depends where you have to work from.
So a quick follow-up from Vintage Las Vegas on the opening we did a few weeks ago of the $3 million for sale sign on the Las Vegas Strip in 1955. We said it might look like a boat. It was actually like a car hood. Thanks to everybody who pointed that out. But Vintage Las Vegas followed up with a comment basically saying that picture was because the land was so insanely expensive and it didn't sell for a long time. And that is actually the land where Wet 'n Wild is today. So that hallowed land that nobody can seem to build anything on.
The curse lives on, it seems.
Yeah, so thanks for following up. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. A lot of fun behind the channel. Going to talk about Mark's Bahamas casino escapades coming up. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So as we record this, Resorts World is most likely accepting their fate, a $10.5 million fine for all of the anti-money laundering issues that we've talked about over the years. And they're going to have to stay up with the state with what they're doing and all of that. But also the news this week, 50 employees were laid off. Vital Vegas, I think, said upwards of 400 at one point, but they confirmed 50 full-time employees as they restructure.
Yeah, for a property of that size, 50 doesn't sound like a huge cutback. And I guess it depends on where they do it. If they're doing it all in the frontline workers like they do with MGM and stuff, and that's going to affect the experience, or are they doing more mid-tier management level, and which probably rolls down and makes more work on the front line anyway. But I'd be curious to see like what the breakdown is there. But it doesn't seem as much as you would think with what we were hearing on the money issues there and everything. You would have thought it'd be a bigger one.
Yeah, 50 almost seems like a rounding error or something, and the thousands of people that work there. The fine, I mean, there's people on both sides of this. Some people want a higher fine. I mean, $10.5 million, a lot of money, but then again, not a lot of money when you're talking about casinos and bending the rules and all of the stuff that seemingly went on. One other interesting thing, as part of this settlement, the state decided to remove the words organized crime from their original complaint. So I guess that's good for Genting. They didn't want those words anywhere around this.
I mean, that's when Vegas was great, though, right? Maybe you need it. Put it in there, and then you'll get better.
Yeah, cue all the comments down there for Vegas was better when the mob was here.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm going to call this the people complain on social media about food prices, but maybe you shouldn't part of the show. Netflix Bites has the Stranger Things 11's Feast, and you actually pointed this out. I saw this a couple weeks ago, too. And on the menu, it's $65, and it basically just describes it as chicken and waffles, but it is actually like this giant dish that's multi-tiered. And so, $65, I'm not going to defend it. It's Eggo waffles and chicken, but this is what it looks like. It's a pretty decent thing. So sometimes when you see $65, maybe Netflix needs to describe this better.
Yeah, I mean, you put a little bit in there. It does seem like it would feed, 3 people probably, maybe 4. There's quite a bit of chicken in there, and I don't know. I think the waffles look like they might be homemade waffles instead of Eggo. I would hope that if you're charging 65, you could at least, put it in a waffle iron. But yeah, it doesn't seem as bad, and they did a terrible job describing it. But it's still a bit overpriced. But if you can split it up with some people, it's not terrible.
Yeah, this is the worst description. I mean, it does seem like they're charging you $65 for just regular chicken and waffles. How about we go to Fontainebleau out by the pool, $26 for chips and guacamole? I'm going to defend this because I think any pool in the city you go, you're going to get something similar. It's not worth it by any means, but I've seen far worse.
What do you think's worse, this or the 6 chips for what was it, $22? I don't know. It seemed like they were fancier chips and they had some more stuff on it versus just salsa and guac.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take the $8 off, if you don't like guac, $18 for just a little salsa and the chips. So there's the deal of the century. I don't know. I mean, at some point, this doesn't bother me. Am I too desensitized to it? Are we getting too desensitized? I guess is the big question.
I think it's like pool at any resort is just kind of crazy prices for, I mean, quesadillas at Baja Mar were like $25 and they weren't anything special. So I think, like you said, it's a price a bit higher, but I hate when they give you like that tiny little cup of salsa. Like one, you can barely fit the chip in there, and two, it's gonna take like 6 chips and then it's gone, and they're probably gonna charge you for more salsa. So I find that stupid. But I love that somebody showed like, oh, you should go to Circa Stadium Swim and get the nachos there. Look at these, and they're like mound high, and somebody's like, yeah, but those are $65, I think, or something like that.
Oh, the prices, they just keep going up. And sometimes the fees do too. So shout out to Taj Palace Indian Kitchen on Lake Mead with their new restaurant operations fee. Just a reminder to avoid these places. If anybody wants to do something like this, don't go to those restaurants. That's what I would say. Ridiculous.
I find it really crazy when it's like a local place that does it. I mean, on the strip, okay, you want to take advantage of tourists, probably aren't paying attention to things, but when you're a local establishment and you require people that live right around you to come in all the time, like what are we doing here? Just to raise the prices 10 cents a piece or something. I don't know, but it's just going to make people upset and not want to come back. It's so stupid. Tourist zone, yeah, it's shady, but it's so much worse when it's a local establishment.
Yeah, I mean, opening the door fee. I mean, these are restaurant operations fee. You're a restaurant. You're charging us an operations fee for doing the business that you do. Utterly ridiculous. But what about this next story? I have no idea. There's still not a lot of context, but this lady is suing Palms Place, all the owners, all the relative parties, saying that an elevator fell 22 stories and she was injured. According to the Review Journal, we don't know whether she was in the elevator or not in the elevator. What exactly caused all of this? I would feel like if you fell 22 stories, that would be kind of crazy. I wasn't even aware that modern elevators could do that because they have so many safety mechanisms. A lot of questions here that are still not answered.
Yeah, if she was in the elevator, you're definitely going to get hurt when it's dropping 22 stories quick and then abruptly coming to a, breaking. But like you said, that was the most surprising thing. Like if that actually did happen and she was inside, give her all the money because there's no reason that this should ever happen with all the fail safes elevators have and with all the requirements. And I mean, I'm guessing that they didn't upkeep with some stuff if it did happen. But yeah, it's crazy if it's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to not have more details about exactly how this happened, but yeah, we'll follow up on it. I'm sure it'll be a big story. These types of things tend to make the national news. But let's move on to MGM. They announced some enhancements for MGM Rewards, including with their partnerships with the cruise lines like Royal Caribbean and also with Marriott, and then some Milestone rewards that they sort of stole from other hotel companies, things like that. I mean, did anything sort of stand out to you? I mean, now at every level, you'll get free play if you go on Royal Caribbean. You can carry over tier credits. They also have, the different celebration tiers now. And then depending on what level of MGM status you have, you can get Marriott status. The only one really worth it is if you're Noir, that you'll get Ambassador. The rest of them just get Gold or lower. So not a huge amount there either.
Yeah, I think this is at least this part. They say more to come, but this is just about like patting their partners on the back, and they're probably hoping to get something back. similar and pushing people towards the cruise ships and everything, give them a little bit of free play, because I don't notice anything that's going to change people's lives that gamble at MGM or spend any money there. And like, most of the times the stuff that's written in there that you get isn't the big thing anyway. It's the type of comps you get, type of food credits, all that stuff that you get from your host or from just the automated system. So, they never really juice this up too much. The best thing would be to make it easier to hit tiers or earn bonus credits, stuff like that. That's what would really drive people, but they seem to do less and less of that.
Yeah, there are a couple other things. They started selling e-gift cards for the first time, and I believe they're running a 5% promotion for members, so you may be able to do that if you buy $500 or more. They're also teasing a new credit card, and this is what they say: a new credit card coming in the near future. The new card will unlock an enhanced level of rewards and travel perks and allow members to earn points and tier credits faster than ever before. So I don't know how it's going to change from the current credit card. I love the marketing speak. I think gold members also gained addition. You get a 5-night free cruise that gold members didn't get before. But yeah, none of this was just like jumping out of my chair in excitement.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great perk and can save people a lot of money, but it's also requiring you to go to a partner. Like, it doesn't help you at MGM properties at all. So it just seems like, kind of what we see in the credit card space, where they work with things and they give you credits towards things that doesn't really cost them much money to give you, because the partner is footing the bill just to get you on there, to get you gambling, things like that. So I mean, more is better, so you can't complain, but it's nothing earth shattering.
Yeah, e-gift cards. I'm surprised more casinos don't do this, especially MGM, as many properties as they have, make it more accessible to get these online. So, I mean, if you spend a lot of money in Vegas and you spend a lot at MGM properties with this 5% off, maybe it makes sense. I personally, 5% is a little, I don't know, not enough for me to like lock in hundreds and hundreds of dollars into MGM's ecosystem. But if you already knew you were going to do it, you could, save some money there too.
It'd be one thing if you could use the gift cards at like the slot machines and stuff like back in the day.
Oh yeah, there was some good play. I never heard about it until after it was over, but yeah, people were having fun, generating all kinds of spend with those stuff. Yeah, good times for some people. So we talked about the MGM credit card. Well, there is a rumor coming from Dr. Credit that Caesars is going to be releasing a new credit card. Here are the rumor details. So there is no confirmation. We don't know anything for sure, but $149 annual fee, 20,000 point sign up bonus. So that'd be about $200 in credits, a $300 annual hotel credit after year one. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of caveats if that's true. $100 annual dining credit, $50 annual game credit, and then 7x points at Caesars Rewards destinations. Those credits seem too generous for just a flat $150 fee. So I think, like I said, hoops to jump through. Maybe they'll get them split up quarterly credits. Who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to require Caesars. We've seen cut back on everything status wise and trying to cut out people doing free rides. And if this is just on its face, it's a big time free ride. So everybody should sign up for this card if that's the way it works. But I think it'll be like, maybe you'll get the $300 credit if you spend $20,000, $25,000, if it's even involved. Or, if this was just like the perks that you get from the card, it'd be like a $550 annual fee. So it's going to be tied somewhere to that, like a spending cap, or this is all just make believe anyway. But I think it's interesting. It's definitely better than what they got now.
And if they didn't have one coming, now that they heard MGM has one coming, they're going to the drawing board. So I'm sure we'll see something, because these two companies going at each other. But the credit card space, very important for all of these travel companies. They make huge amounts of money on their co-branded credit card portfolios. I do feel like the gaming companies have been a little bit behind maybe some of the other hospitality companies. And I think they're seeing the value in this and trying to figure out ways, instead of just making it the MGM credit card, here's your free parking, to be, really enveloped in the ecosystem. And that's what the gift cards are. That's what all of this is, more of a maturity of these Vegas loyalty programs.
Which is crazy, because they're like the epicenter beginning point of loyalty programs. Like, nobody should do it better than them. A lot of these airline companies, like, their whole profit is basically selling miles to the credit card companies. Same with the hotel programs. So they're just missing out on tons of money if they made a compelling credit card that people would use on the regular basis. It's just going to put more money in their pocket. It's going to make people more loyal to their brand. Yeah, they're definitely way behind, and it's always surprised me. So this is kind of a step towards that direction if it's true.
And we end a lot of shows with big stories. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, but let's just end with it. We end our other show with some cool S, and here you go. Plaza's bringing back fireworks for the summer. Once again, this is the second year in a row they're doing it. It's going to be on Fridays, 9:15, starting May 2nd through the last Friday in September. No cost to do this. Great thing. I mean, I guess that they've done the ROI. They figured out that they made some money off this last year, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's crazy that they're the only ones that do it. And I don't know if other ones chip in, but you think it'd be more like a Fremont Street experience type of thing. But they must get people down there and buying drinks and stuff and standing outside and watching. I still think the best place to watch these is circa a really cool view. So get up there and check it out. But yeah, good to see them come back. I'm sorry for all the dog owners in the area. I know that's terrible for them, but a lot of people love them.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about on the show. Are we complaining about food prices too much? Or $26 chips and guacamole? That's good. That's where it should be. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Resorts World, $10.5 million. Should they find them more? Plaza fireworks. Are you excited about that? Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.